Hey everybody, Todd here. I'm dusting off my Facebook account here to come back online just to kind of give an update on a couple things that have been happening here. I've definitely enjoyed my time off of social media. It's been wonderful. But a couple of things have been happening, and I wanted to give everybody kind of an update with a few things. It is kind of a long story, so I'm going to give the long version of it here. If you want to just jump ahead to just go to this timestamp here for the basic idea. Otherwise, if you'd like the full recap, I'm going to start back a few years. 2022, I think, would be a good place to start. It was a really busy year. I was on tour with a group called Arise Collective, with their conducting the orchestra for their musical Pilgrim, which is a musical retelling of Pilgrim's Progress, and also simultaneously still working, so kind of composing at night, conducting in the day, composing at night, repeating. It was great. It was a lot of work. During that time, I did score a film called An Angelic Christmas, starring Karen Abercrombie, and produced by my friend Josh Menning, who is shooting this today, who is willing to come out here. I also wrapped up the score on a movie called Angel Mine, which was Jimmy Taife's first film. And in the fall, I started experiencing some interesting pain behind my knee and behind my down by my feet. And I didn't think a whole lot about it because I was 45 at the time, and I'm an old guy now, and I thought it was just old guy pains. But I started kind of ramping up the yoga and doing, I spent the year really getting in shape again. I had COVID, of course. I sat around like most of us did and just ate and put on a ton of weight, and I got rid of that pretty quickly. But I started having some strange pain in my legs, and I started going to acupuncture and ramping up yoga and kind of doing all the things necessary that I could think of. But it still was kind of there. It rolled into, which I had a really good experience in the fall of 2022, working with Lori Rain Matta. We released an album in 2019, Let Earth Receive Her King. And that was right before the pandemic hit. So the whole thing kind of, didn't really go anywhere. But since things have kind of revived post-pandemic, we had the wonderful opportunity of putting on a live, full orchestral performance of the concert. It was really, really something. And check her work out too, of course, LoriRainMatta.com. But it was during rehearsals of that concert that I really started noticing this pain kind of escalating. Right after the concert, I came home and I really started realizing I need to put some thought into this. So I went to my doctor. He did put me on some sort of medication at the time. Didn't really seem to help. He proposed that I go to see a neurologist. And of course, I'm new to a lot of this. I've had the wonderful opportunity to be very healthy. I had the flu, I think, when I was 25. I had COVID twice. But other than that, I really haven't been involved with the medical world much at all. But I went to see a neurologist because the pain at this point had really started to become very sharp and very acute, mainly at nighttime. They took an EMG in March of 22, and he told me that I have something called peripheral neuropathy. So for those of you who know, there's a lot of people who do have it, you know what type of pain that is. It's awful. But peripheral, meaning the peripheral organs, your hands and your feet. Neuropathy, which is the dying of the nerves. It's very painful. And he told me that it was due to alcohol use. And I'm very open. A lot of people know, I did drink fairly heavily for several years. That's in a very distant past now. I think for 2 years or so, I haven't touched it or thought about it. That's very much ancient history. And it was strange because I did go to the doctor to get some checkups. And as I was pulling out of that, he said, Todd, if you've ever had alcohol, I never would have known. Your liver enzymes are perfect. Your kidneys are, very healthy. Your whole body, I would have never known you would have touched it. So it seems strange that he said that you have alcohol-induced peripheral neuropathy. Nonetheless, he said to me very clearly, don't worry about it. It'll go away in 6 months, so I didn't worry about it. But the pain continued. It didn't get better. It got worse. So I started going to pain management, and they started me on something called gabapentin, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. Didn't do anything. Then they started me on a secondary medication called Effexor. Same thing. Didn't do anything. And it was miserable. The side effects were just dizzy, nausea. And it takes about 4 weeks for them to acclimate. And then to get off of them is another 4 weeks or so. So you don't just take them and then stop. You really have to invest some time into this. In the meantime, the pain is getting so bad. It's really hard to explain. One way I would describe it, it's like having your foot on a frying pan. Like it's just, it's unlike anything that I've ever known. Now, in the meantime, I'm throwing myself into everything I can think of. Acupuncture. I was driving 2 hours to go see a holistic practitioner who did something called platelet-rich plasma, PRP treatment. That didn't help. He did a real advanced form of acupuncture. That didn't help. He did chiropractic adjustments. That didn't help. We went so far as to do a stem cell therapy injection, which, of course, is not from fetal tissue. It's from the umbilical cord and placenta. And in his words, he promised me that I will be stronger than Superman when we're done. He said it would cure it. It has 100% success rate. And they're very expensive, by the way. So we did this thing, rah, no change whatsoever. 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by, and the pain is still bad. And ironically, incidentally, he wasn't returning my phone calls. So I continued on, and of course, by this point, I'm going to the ER, I think, at least once a week, because the pain is just unbelievable during the nighttime. They had given me Percocet for the first time. I don't remember ever having an opiate in my past, but it was incredible. Of course, the pain stopped immediately. I was able to sleep for the first time. I went back to the pain management clinic and said, I'd like to have a discussion about Percocet. Like, I want to know what it is. I'm very well aware of the slippery slope of opiates and how they work and the dangers. The next thing I knew, I received a letter that said, you're no longer welcome to come here. You're not abiding by our rules. We're dismissing you because you're exhibiting drug-seeking behavior. Which, psychologically it hit me really hard because I wasn't exhibiting drug-seeking behavior. I just requested an audience with them to discuss, like, is this a treatment? Is this what you do? Went to another center, and they said, we're not willing to take you because you have a black mark. Furthermore, you're using marijuana, which I wasn't using marijuana. I had my marijuana card because I tried using marijuana and THC for the pain, which didn't really help. So that led me to understand more about like pain centers and kind of the crisis that they're in right now. If any of you have tried to have pain management, you'll know it's a very difficult place. They're not giving opiates or pain management medication to anybody because of the mess that was caused from overprescribing. So we continue on, and the pain is just, I conducted another concert with the Contemporary Integrational Orchestra Project, the CIOP. We had a really fun concert. It was a 70s theme, and I had a wig on, and somehow the adrenaline kicked in. I was able to get through, but I just utterly collapsed after. By this point, the pain was starting to affect all of my body and having incredible nausea, unbelievable nausea, and exhaustion and pain and fatigue. I did go to a gastroenterologist. They ran a scope down my throat and they said you have gastritis as a result of all the medication, which wasn't working, but it was tearing up my insides. So I was put on another medication for the gastritis. But the pain is continuing. The exhaustion is just increasing. I tried something called a spinal cord stimulator, which was a very invasive procedure. They open up your back and they put this pretty large instrument into your back. It's supposed to send a signal into your spinal cord, down to your feet, and block the pain. It didn't work at all. And I was advised to go back to a different neurologist in the Cleveland Clinic. So I did, and it took 3 months to get the appointment. So I'm waiting. I'm in pain. It's getting worse. I had a meeting with him. He said, take something called nortriptyline, which is a pain. Again, this is the 5th medication that I've tried. Nortriptyline also has several weeks to acclimate if it works, and then several weeks to come off of it. I took nortriptyline, but I was very worried because my resting heart rate was 120 beats per minute. So it was borderline heart attack. I learned later that one of the side effects of nortriptyline was an elevated heart rate. So that was quickly stopped. I had another EMG run by my pediatrician, or my orthopedic guy, and it revealed that the neuropathy had severely progressed. So not only did it not recover, it had severely progressed, which was concerning. I had another appointment, this time in person, set with the neurologist up in Cleveland Clinic in person. We had an EMG, had blood work, and at this point, this was the third EMG that I had, and it revealed a profound state of decay beyond the neuropathy. My muscles had started atrophying. Walking right now is very, very painful and very difficult. I'm in constant pain. My muscles have atrophied. I have to use a cane for very short periods of time. He called me and said, "We have to admit you right now to the Cleveland Clinic because this is really alarming." So in Cleveland Clinic, he told me it would be probably a 3 to 5 day stay, which ended up being 13 days. And this is fairly recent. This is in January. And the good part about that is they were very tenacious. They had done several tests. They thought it was an autoimmune disorder because I did feel like I told them, I feel like I'm dying. You know, it was a very strange sensation. There's just pain and there's this nausea and there's this, I just literally felt like I was dying. So the autoimmune, and then they thought it was something called CIDP as well, which, so they prescribed, I forget the name. It was a steroid, and then IVIG was the name of it, which was supposed to help it. It didn't do anything. So they said, we need to send you to a hematologist, as well as potentially an oncologist, because something really weird is going on here. They took several more tests. They did a lumbar puncture, or spinal tap, which revealed an excess of protein in my body at an alarming rate. They also did a nerve biopsy, which was very painful, mainly for the recovery, which revealed the presence of something called amyloid. So this brings us to, I went to a hematologist, and he said, basically, your spinal cord is swimming in dead protein. Most people have between 4 and 12 milligrams. I had 85. So he said the presence of amyloid suggests a very rare condition called AL amyloidosis. So we ran more tests with that, including some heart tests, and it did reveal that there's an excess of amyloid. What those are is they're dead protein molecules. So shortly, I have been diagnosed with an extremely rare condition called AL amyloidosis. Your body takes in protein, and it uses protein as building blocks for your body. And in my case, it doesn't absorb the protein, hence the muscular atrophy, hence the decay of my body. But secondarily, it kills the proteins, and it creates what are called amyloids, which are dead proteins. It dumps them into my body, into my bloodstream. So my blood is riddled with dead protein molecules that aren't supposed to be there. It's a lot like having like chocolate milk in your gas tank, which means my organs are starting to shut down. Your heart, your liver, your lungs, everything, because I'm feeling it. I'm out of breath all the time. And so that leads us to where I'm at right now. I am starting chemotherapy here in the next 2 weeks or so. I'm meeting with the oncologist on Friday to let me know how often we're going to be doing this. It looks like it will be here in Youngstown, potentially a few trips to the Cleveland Clinic. It'll be for 12 weeks, followed by a bone marrow transplant, which I guess is pretty intense. Fortunately, and I kind of consider this a little bit of a miracle, my organs have not, by some reason, have not been terribly affected. Usually somebody will have a heart attack and they'll go to the hospital and they'll discover later that they have ALA. In my case, it was detected soon enough that the prognosis does look pretty good. So it's going to be, a rough couple of months here. But the prognosis, if I weren't to get treatment, from what I understand, I would die within 5 months. with treatment, it does look like the progression will be stopped with the ALA. The amyloids will be killed from chemo. And ultimately, if all goes well, I should be able to make a recovery. So that's the long version of it. And I would certainly appreciate your prayers. I really have grown through this. I mean, being in this much pain, I've never understood physical pain as much as I do now. And so it's been a humbling and enlightening experience. I'm going to host this video on YouTube. I'm sharing it on Facebook. I am going to close my Facebook down probably in the next couple days too. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer as much as I can. But I love you all. Appreciate your time. Would appreciate your prayers in the days to come. And I'll be giving everybody an update here in a couple months. God bless you.